everybody, it's Karen. Thanks for joining me again. I have got a wave card today. Are you ready? How fun is that? So this card was completely inspired by Sam Calcott. She made a card similar to this, and I just thought that was so much fun. What a joy that it would be to give away. So I've started with a 10-inch wide piece of cardstock by 6.5 inches, and it's quite a sturdy cardstock. I think it was 110 pounds, maybe 100 pounds. But I just scored that directly in half at the 5-inch mark. And here I've cut another section of that coordinating cardstock to be on the cover. And you really don't need to do much on the cover, I don't think. All the fun's inside. But I just used my anti-static powder tool. And I've got this snowflake stamp from the collection, and I am just stamping on, and I'm going to silver heat emboss it. And then here I am just spattering on some white acrylic paint just to give it a bit more interest on the front. But now here's the inside. So you need a sheet of acetate that is 8 inches by 4 inches. And we're going to make 1/2-inch wide tabs. Now on Sam's video, which I will link down below, she made hers a little bit wider, but I wanted to go a bit smaller with these so they didn't take up as much real estate on the card. So I am scoring at 1/2 inch, 1¼ inches, 2 inches, and then at 5 inches. And so that's along the 8-inch side length of the acetate. Should look a bit like that. I know it's hard to see. But now I'm going to trim that down to be 1/2-inch wide lengths along that 4-inch side. So really on my paper trimmer, each grid is 1/4 inch. So I know to just from the left hand side, I just move it over 2 grids, and then I know that's going to be 1/2 inch. And I just cut the whole section of acetate down. Now to fold these, that first fold is a mountain fold. It's really mountain, valley, mountain, mountain. But I found it easiest to do the first one and then skip to the third one and make that a mountain fold. And then I folded up that first fold line to meet up with the third one. And in the middle there is going to be the valley fold that you want. So when you just pinch those together, that second one forms the valley fold. And then I folded over this top one to be a mountain fold. I hope that makes sense. It's hard to see with that acetate, but it should look a bit like that. So then I've put a little piece of red line tape now on that very first fold, and I'm just burnishing and really creasing these fold lines. And then you can remove that release paper on the red line tape and just fold that long tab over to meet up with the first section. If you've burnished everything, it should line up fairly well anyway, but I am just pushing down from the top on the left, just making sure it folds right down onto that first tab. So that's what it should look like when it's all held together. And now on the left hand side, I've put a little bit of red line tape on each of the sections. And now to join these up, I use my grid mat, especially with the acetate, because you can see through it. So I've taped the first couple there down, and I'm just going to show you here. I use the score lines on my mat. So I'm taking that release paper off, and well, I'll move that piece of masking tape in a second, but you can see that line there. You want to overlap these by half the width of each acetate section. So they're only 1/2 inch wide, so you're going to overlap it by half the amount. And then that red line tape is on top on the left, so it's facing up and it's on the left hand side. And I'm lining up the tops of these little tabs and just burnishing that once they're down. So I'm taking the release paper off again and making sure the red tape is on the left hand side and on top. Line up the top and overlap these just by a half, which is that 1/4 inch grid line on the mat. And then just burnish each of them when you're done. I hope I haven't made that more complicated for you. It's not that hard, but you're just overlapping them by half. So it should look like this when you're done. Now that last one will still have the red line tape on it. And then you want to put some more red line tape on the very first one to go on the back of it, because those pieces of tape are what are going to be stuck down. So this is how it looks. And now here's the inside of the card. I've matted the top and the bottom, and I've added that sentiment. And I've put everything kind of off to the left because I thought I would put this mechanism over more to the right. So that was what I did. But you could, there's room to write on that mat, but you could put this on the left side or in the middle if you wanted. It's up to you where you put it. So here, to get it on, I am going to take that release paper off, and now I'm lining this up with my mat, not with that fold line, because if there is a little bit of space, I think it's better for the way it opens. So I'm lining it up with the mat, pressing it down onto the bottom, and now I can take the release paper off the top of this very last one, and I'm going to lift it up and over and line the top of it up with the mat on the other side. So there is a bit of a gap over that center fold line, but I think that helps that mechanism to stand up a bit better, so that when you open it, it will lie flat and yet everything sort of pops up. So I'm just really burnishing that tape, and then this is how it should look when you're all done. It's kind of a weird thing, like a fan or something. But I'm decorating it now. I've got a couple of those chipboard ephemera that I'm putting down on the matted pieces. And then for all the other little layers in between, I've got some red line tape there, and I've cut these images from these 2 pages in the 6x6 book. One of those was from the darker background, that one there. And I just took a white gel pen and went around the outline of him so he would blend in a little bit better. But you can see I'm just taking the release paper off that little piece of tape and sticking these on. And I did stagger mine a bit left and right, just to spread them out so you could see them a little better. But you do want to be careful that you're not extending out past the side of the card. So there's the red line tape going on. I actually don't think you need the red line tape. I think that it could just be regular double-sided tape. They're only paper. But when you open it, how fun is that? If you got that as a card, wouldn't you just be so happy and joyful at Christmas? It would just make your day. So I just thought that was really a fun card to make. That's it all folded down. There is a little bit of bulk there, and I did go over the edges a tiny bit on mine, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. So then to hold it together, you do need a belly band, I think. So I'm creating one from this gingham paper. I cut a strip and I'm wrapping it around the edges. Just sort of gently folding it down. You don't want it to be super tight. Now I've stamped and colored that little gnome. I just cut him out. He's the one that was with the reindeer. And I had that sentiment somewhere. I don't even know where it's from. But I've glued him onto that. And I'm just gluing one side down to this belly band. And then I will wrap it around the card to do the second half, because I just want to be sure that it will slide on and off. So just pushing that down in place, and that's the card. So the front really doesn't have to be too much, I don't think, because look at this. Super fun. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you've had some inspiration from that one, and I hope you'll come back for the next video. See you soon. Bye.